Winston Peters has returned to the witness box for the second day of his high-stakes legal action to accuse some of his opponents of, quote, covering their butts. The acting Prime Minister is suing several top civil servants, a government department and 2 former national ministers, claiming a breach of his privacy relating to his superannuation overpayment. But a key focus today was the meeting where Mr Peters applied for his pension and the mistake which led to his 7-year overpayment. Our Deputy Political Editor, Craig McCulloch, is at the High Court in Auckland.
Winston Peters back in the witness box and under cross-examination by the Crown.
I just think that some people in this defence are covering their butts, and it's clear as daylight.
In contention, the circumstances surrounding Mr Peters' superannuation claim back in 2010. A critical question on his application form was left unanswered, meaning Mr Peters was wrongly recorded as single and was overpaid nearly $18,000 over the next 7 years. He's since repaid the money. The New Zealand First Leader says his partner Jan Trotman was with him when he filled out the form at an MSD office, and the case manager should have picked that up.
We went out to this office, we parked the car, walked up together, and that's how the thing was completed.
Winston introduced me to the lady who was to conduct the interview as Jan Trotman, his partner.
But the case manager and 2 other office members tell a different version of events. The Crown's lawyer, Victoria Casey, told the court they say Mr Peters was not with his partner, he was alone.
You're saying that one or more of these MSD frontline officers have invented this evidence?
I say the memory is failing them.
And he went further.
I don't know why all of a sudden their memory of such a distant event is so clear and lucid all these years later. Other than to say it does suit a certain narrative, which you're putting at this point in time.
But it was Ms Trotman's memory being questioned by the Crown. Was she 100% sure of her recollection?
It is 9 years ago, isn't it?
It's 9.5, 10 years ago, you're correct.
So that's some quite extraordinary level of detail that you've been able to include in there.
Well, I disagree.
Ms Trotman says she walked into the office with Mr Peters, but then waited to one side while he went forward to greet the receptionist.
Absolutely sure.
Absolutely clear that
Absolutely.
This is what happened on this date.
It is Winston's meeting.
This is an extraordinary claim, and desperate, if I might say so.
Desperate in what way, Mr Peters?
Well, desperate to try and substantiate a case that does not exist in that context. A receptionist 9 years later remembering somebody who was considerably behind me. I was the one in front of this person asking for help, not Jan. How would that person remember Jan?
Mr Peters and his partner have now concluded giving evidence, but the hearing continues. The National MPs, Paula Bennett and Anne Tolley, are expected in the witness box on Thursday. From Auckland for Checkpoint, Craig McCulloch.